Okay, welcome everyone. We're monitoring Hurricane Francine moving in on the Louisiana coastline. The 5 p.m. advisory indicates we now have a Category 2 hurricane, 100-mile-per-hour winds, as you can see in the scroller. I'm Jim Williams. This is the Hurricane Warning Show, and as soon as the HurTrack program gets the latest data and the graphics, we'll show you that. But here is the current radar of our system moving in right now, and this is courtesy of WeatherTap. We have a eye moving on shore. The eye wall is hitting right now in Cocodrie, moving in towards Homa and Morgan City. Looks like, I don't know, it's going to be a tough call here between Homa and Morgan City. Who's going to get the eye? It looks more like Homa may actually get the eye more than Morgan City. Morgan City may actually not get the eye. But looks like LaRose, Naomi, Port Sulphur is going to get some bad weather out of this. Pierre Part, Carville, Dolson, and then western New Orleans area might get the eye wall of this as it moves north. Still moving northeast at 17 miles per hour. And again, the hurricane hunters have found a slightly stronger system. And if you look at the eye, it is nice and round. You usually see more of a bat look. And let me explain what I'm talking about with a bat look. For example, you often will see like a bat wing like this and the dry air. That inside that yellow circle is usually dry air intrusion, which is dry air that comes in from the south in these systems in the northern Gulf. And it kind of chokes the system off and develops and prevents it from intensifying as it moves on shore. And this is what's happening right now. There's dry air being pulled into the southern quadrant of this, although this is looking a little bit better than some of the other hurricanes we've seen move in. There's a whole bat look dry air to the south. This only has a little bit of a dry slot there, so they may actually get a backside to this, although we'll see what happens as it moves completely onshore. But they may get some winds coming in pretty strong on this back feeder band back here. But it looks like it's a little bit better organized than what I anticipated. I thought it would be more of a half of a storm, but right now it looks like it's about 2/3 of a storm, where most of the convection is north of the center. And again, that's moving into Morgan City and Homa as we speak. Now, back in 2021, I was in Hurricane Ida, and I was in this area in Homa, right up in here. Actually, well, you can see that. And the Hurricane Ida was coming up like this. And it ended up more hitting western Homa and areas east. But my remote camera was in Homa, and I was over here in Morgan City thinking it was going to stair step over that way, and it never really happened. Of course, that was a 130-mile-per-hour hurricane. This one is 100 miles per hour. It's a little bit of a different animal that we're looking at here this evening. So we have a 100-mile-per-hour hurricane coming in, and as soon as the HurTrack program updates, I'll get that graphic. Let me just, we may actually, yep, I think we do have. Yes, 4 p.m. The National Hurricane Center has this system as a 100-mile-per-hour Category 2 hurricane, 40 miles southwest of Morgan City, Louisiana, 100 miles west-southwest of New Orleans. Maximum sustained winds 100 miles per hour, moving northeast at 17, and the minimum central pressure is 972 millibars. That's 28.71 inches. So here is the current position of our system. Let's go ahead. I don't know. Well, let's go ahead and animate this. All right, so here we are right in this position. This is basically where we're at right now with Hurricane Francine. And you can see Morgan City. I think this graphic is a little bit to the left of where this actually is. I think it should be sliding a little bit more to the east here. But Morgan City is definitely going to get part of the eye on this, and then Homa is definitely going to get the eye. And all these coastal areas are getting some storm surge. I've heard reports of some storm surge moving in. These areas, oops. Anyway, let me get out of the herd track because I don't want to crash this program. But that was just the screenshot of where we're at with Hurricane Francine moving in. And again, there is the radar shot of the live action. This is from the radar lab. And the deep reds are moving into Morgan City right now. So, all right, so here's what I have tonight to cover this. We're going to be here for a couple of hours as the core of this moves on shore. I have a bunch of weather observations from the coast, a few webcams. Mike from Mike's Weather has given us permission to show some of his live video footage, and I'm monitoring that, so I'll share some of that with you as well. And I have a radio station queued up from Baton Rouge, and we'll listen to some of their coverage as this gets further and further inland, but it will be turning more to the north, so I don't think New Orleans is going to get the core of this. It'll pass probably just west of New Orleans, but it'll be a very close call. So let's go ahead and get to some of these weather observations. And by the way, I think the comments are open, so anybody wants to comment that's listening on my stream right now on Facebook. And we are live on YouTube, Facebook, on my private Facebook page, which is kind of like what I use for Hurricane City. And we're also on the embed page, the live hurricanecity.tv page at Hurricane City. When you click the TV on the upper right-hand corner, we're live. You can see it there. And again, normally I'd be chasing something like this, but my work schedule didn't work out. This didn't look like it was going to be really intense. I go for more of the quality than quantity. If I think something's going to be a major hurricane, I'll go for it. Unless it's in Florida, of course. I'll just go for the Cat 1s, 2s, and all the categories. But for me to do any length of traveling, 1,000 miles or something, I usually like for it to be at least progged as a major hurricane. And this one was never expected to become a major hurricane. And by the way, that pressure, as you can see on the scroller, 972 millibars. Some of the models, the HMON and the HWRF, had this coming in at 962, so it didn't quite get there. But anyway, let's go ahead and get to the other images of the observations from the affected area. So let's take a look at where up in Homa here. Let's go a little bit further south and see if we can. Well, let's go to the Homa observations. And this is from. No, this isn't updating. Okay, forget that. Morgan City. Now this is from Berwick, Louisiana, the Atchafalaya River, and we're seeing here. This is as of. Let's see if these observations are current. Let me refresh this. Yes. Yeah. This is. Wait a minute. Is this current? Let's see. Gusting to 32.6 knots. Pressure is 998. So we're having some gust up here, right around almost 45 miles, 43 knots. It's almost 45, 50, 52 mile per hour winds right now, gusting in that area at Berwick, Louisiana, which is, again, where that pointer is on the map. Let's check one a little further to the west. This is in Eugene. This is that little island that sticks out there um, just east of Pecan Island. Let's see. We have winds 61 knots. Wow, that's almost 70 miles per hour. 70-mile-per-hour winds, and they are, let's see, winds are out of the northeast at 61 knots. Wow. Let's see, humidity. Air pressure 978 millibars, 978 millibars. And there's the map of where that is. Just southwest of Morgan City, Louisiana. They're getting winds of 70 miles per hour right now. Let's see if we can pull this camera up. And these are the Lumpkin webcams. And well, let's see. That is a live shot. That's a live shot, and you can see water moving in. Looks like a lot of flooding there. I'm not sure if that is a marina of some sort. And you can see the white caps on the water. Let's see if we can go full screen on this. Yeah, you can see the winds gusting pretty good in that shot. And this is on the this is southeast of Morgan City, Louisiana, live cam shot. All right, let's take a look at a satellite here. These are all the links that are available on the front page of hurricanecity.com. And by the way, the reason I'm doing this broadcast is it's called the Hurricane Warning Show is for the archive reasons. Anytime a hurricane hits the United States or a major hurricane is down in the Caribbean, we like to archive it in the database at Hurricane City. When you search for your city, there'll be a video showing how it happened as it moved in, how the radar looked, etc. So, you can kind of relive the moment. And it does look like an eye popping on the satellite. So let's take a close look at this. But notice the convection is severely weakening at this hour. There's only one deep, dark blob of red convection that's moving right into Morgan City. And there's no eye. There's no visible eye on the enhanced satellite. By the way, we have a new tropical depression out in the East Atlantic, and that is expected to move out to sea. It's not going to be affecting any land. It looks like it'll be our first recurvature of this season out in the East Atlantic. It looks like it will become Gordon, but it will be turning before it gets to the islands, which is good news. It'll be the first system that's missed land this year. We're six for six this year so far on landfalling systems. And by the way, Morgan City is being hit by Hurricane Francine, and that was my number 14 pick for this hurricane season. So I've kept my record intact. In fact, I've had 6 of my top 20 cities and islands have been impacted this hurricane season so far, with a little less than half the season left to go. All right, let's check on the latest Hurricane Hunter aircraft fixes that they're getting out there and see if all right. And this is all real-time data that's gathered at Hurricane City, showing the Hurricane Hunter fixes. And here we go, 974 millibars. It was 981 a few hours ago, so let's see. It looks like it's almost moved due east on the last couple of fixes. So let's take a look at this. And we have '86 nautical miles to the south-southeast from Lafayette, Louisiana. And we have minimum central pressure 974 millibars. And they dropped the drop zone from the aircraft down into the center of the eye. And they measured 23 mile per hour winds in the center of the eye. So it's not exactly a calm eye like you see with the really intense hurricanes. It's kind of a little bit breezy in there. In fact, when I was in Hurricane Michael up in Callaway, Florida, back in 2000, my years are all running together. Was it 2020, 2018? Hurricane Michael I was in Category 4 conditions, but it was a Category 5 hurricane right at the coast when it first came on shore. And even in the eye of that hurricane, even though I wasn't in the center of the eye, I was kind of near the edge, the winds were still blowing about 20 to 30 miles per hour. So it wasn't exactly dead calm like you see with a major hurricane. You have to be really in the center of the eye to get dead calm winds. But this one has winds about 25, 30 mile per hour winds. And we have eye open to the southwest. And it's 50 nautical mile wide eye. So it's a pretty decent size eye, as you can see on the radar. It is 50 nautical mile wide eye. And we have SFMR, which are the instruments on the plane that measure the waves at the surface to determine the winds. And they're estimating the wind 77 miles per hour. And that was measured... hold on a minute. That was 15 miles to the northwest of the center. So they had 78 mile per hour winds right where Morgan City is, basically. And outbound, they had 83 mile per hour winds. And that's 32 miles to the east of the center. So east and north of the center are where the highest winds are. Obviously, by looking at the radar, you can see that. So that's it for that. Let's check the other one here. Or is that the same Vortex message? Let's see. No. All right, let's check the buoys. Okay, right at the coast, we have northeast winds at 65 knots, gusting to 77. So we have gusts around almost 90 miles per hour here, moving on shore. These are from the buoys right offshore. This is directly south of Morgan City. Pressure, here we have 32 knots, gusting to 48. And right in Morgan City, we have 33 gusting to 41. And let's check over here. No recent data. No recent data. No recent data. Just northwest, northeast of Homa, we have pressure 2958. Okay. So let's look at the tide situation right now. I know probably a lot of you are curious with the storm surge potential. And by the way, in Morgan City, Louisiana, the city is surrounded by a wall, basically, that keeps the water out. And when I was there for Hurricane Ida, I was really concerned about that. And I even asked the hotel I was staying at, like, is this going to flood? And she didn't seem to be the least bit concerned because a lot of the hurricanes that hit Morgan City are coming in maybe in a weaker state or at a weird angle where the surge isn't really built up enough to bring the surge in and top those walls. But it'll be interesting to watch. And why we're not getting the tides here, I don't know. Not loading. Okay, here's the rainfall projections from the National Hurricane Center. And based on the scale here, we're expecting anywhere from 6 to 8 inches of rain just west of New Orleans and in the impact areas directly, 4 to 6 inches, and up to 8 inches isolated in some areas. I'm not sure if the elevation. And by the way, you see this? This is a map, an elevation map. Let me see if I can go full screen on this for you. Okay, so this map, this is an elevation map. And notice the highway that goes through Franklin, Morgan City, and over towards Houma. That bridge is really elevated. That whole road is really high elevated. It's real high up. In fact, you look down from some of the bridges and you're looking down some 30, 40, 50 feet. I mean, it's pretty elevated, that highway that runs through there. So I don't think that's going to flood in this particular situation. Although, maybe in some of the lower parts of the road, but uh, I'm seeing elevations here. I did have it. What happened to it? 153 feet, but that's further west. Morgan City's a whole different situation. In fact, if you look at, let me pull the surge potential map up here and show you what I'm talking about. So we're talking 5 to 10 feet. This is from the National Hurricane Center. 5 to 10 foot water moving into this area. But well, I don't have the right one loaded up here, but there's an actual map from the National Hurricane Center that shows the surge potential, the actual surge expectations of the water levels, and it does show a hashed out area over Morgan City, which indicates that they can't give you the information because it's surrounded by a wall. So you wouldn't be able to find out anything unless you had an eyewitness report from the city right in place there. So let's. Hold on, folks. I'm just looking for something here. All right, let's pull up Mike's cam here and see what he's got going on.
trying to find a good internet signal so we can stream this.
Again, Mike has given me permission to use his live stream on my hurricane warning show, if anybody's wondering.
In the last couple of hours, the eye wall's really coming together here. I'm in Morgan City, right across from the bridge over here. Internet is a little slow, so bear with me. I might switch some networks around here, try to get a good signal. Our final approach here. Man, yeah, it's clearing out an eye. I will be in the eye. We might actually see an eye. So come back. It's working. It's working right now. It's safe from the sun.
And again, Mike is in Morgan City, Louisiana.
So yeah, this thing is. I'm in Morgan City, and listen, Homa getting a really rough band, getting really close to you right now. Everything's still on tap. You know, I don't know why we haven't had any hurricane hunter data in the last several hours. But if we lose internet, I'm going to swap over to my other one. So just have to bear with me. But we are going to watch this thing come in here. And I got a good spot up here that we can watch that. Eyewall's going to be hitting us here real soon. Kind of wanted to zoom in on these bridges up here. Want to pick a spot we can get and just kind of let it come to us.
Okay, just let y'all, I'm trying to pull up some more weather observations. I'll let you know if I find anything interesting, and I'm monitoring radio from the affected areas as well.
Show good internet. I don't know what's happening. We're going to have to flip over to the other Wi-Fi, I think. We got a little lighthouse up here, or park it right up here, I think. And let it come to us. Watch the approach. I was up here earlier and felt like it might have been the best spot. Kind of be safe, away from everything.
Okay, this shot is from, I wish they had the site map on these things. East Tower. I'm not sure where that is on the map, but it is, you can see the water streaming in. Look at that vehicle is underwater. And notice the houses, the water is streaming underneath the houses. So we definitely have water, storm surge moving in. Not real high, but several feet. Again, these are from the Lumpkin East Tower cam, which I'm assuming if the other one was, well, I don't know, I'm going to have to put maps on these and find out exactly where they are. But you look at the wind racing across that water there. Watch. You can see it. Watch the white caps, the bottom of your screen. There's water. The wind is just, you can see it comes in bursts. And you can see the white caps on top of the water. But these buildings are all getting infiltrated by water. Look at that. It's got at least a couple of feet of water there. This is live. You're watching as Hurricane Francine is moving in. I just wish I knew, because that's the east cam. So let's go back to the south cam. And you don't get as good of a picture here of the flooding because, although you can see some buildings out here in the, yeah, I mean, look at that. There's water underneath all these structures. This is live. All right, let's try the north cam and see what that looks like. Okay, wow, that's interesting. I'm not sure. Look, there's a barrier, a wall there, and the waves are smashing up against the wall. Yeah, you can definitely see the surges coming in there. It's inside the facility. All right, let's look at the west cam. Southeast. Well, let's go west. Okay, it's basically the same facility. It's just from different angles, it appears. Okay, so what do we have going on here? Looks like some kind of research facility that is also underwater. Definitely got storm surge flooding coming in there. There's wave action moving inside that building. Wow. That's definitely storm surge, folks. You can see the wind is definitely picking up. Again, that water level's rising because it looks like it's a little higher than the last time we looked at it. It's got to be at least a few feet there. I don't see any movement. Let's switch back over to Mike's cam and see what he's got going on.
Any up-to-date information? We do have a tornado watch, obviously, for southern Louisiana, Mississippi, coastal Alabama. As expected, that's going to last through the night. It could extend northward up into, Georgia, Alabama. But I think this is where I'm going to ride it out, and then we're going to take off together and see what kind of action we got. There's no flying debris here, so I should be okay. If we do a power line here, we can get a.
All right. There's the map of the cameras and observations right below the link is below the map on the front page of Hurricane City. But see the camera right there south of Homa is where those camera shots I was giving you are right on the coast. So the water is definitely moving in. at the Lumpkin Research Facility. And all the different angles show water definitely pouring in. All the homes are on stilts. The water is running underneath. And we'll keep going back to those cameras. But let's check out the observation. I'm trying to get the obs and they're not working for some reason. Let me see if I can pull it up on this other source here. Yeah, here we go. All right, so this is from that research facility that I was just showing you. Water depth is 8.9 feet deep. That's amazing. If that's true, that's almost this. Because remember, this the Hurricane Center did estimate 10-foot storm surge, and they're at 8.94. The winds are definitely out of the east at around 50. We've had some gusts. Let's see if it's no, it doesn't allow you to mouse over, but you can see it's up to 70 knots right at the end of the chart there. So they're definitely getting 80-mile-per-hour winds. The water depth, again, they're at 8.9 feet at the end of that graphic. The blue graphic there, that's the water depth at where those cameras are. See, at 3:45 p.m. a couple of hours ago, they had 3.25 inches of rain. Pressure 991. Let's check the Terrebonne Bay. 9.41 feet. Winds northwest at 20. So they must be on the back. They must be further west. Wind speed is only in the 30-mile-per-hour range. Wait a minute. No, this is old information. Never mind. Never mind. That's from several days ago. Forget that. This is current. All right. And there's our satellite, desktop satellite of, here's our new tropical depression out here. TD number 7. And the modeling indicates that this is going to kind of do something like this. That's the most likely scenario. I mean, we have to watch it. It could sneak a little further south here. This one right here is Invest 92L, and it's running into upper level wind shear, so it's pretty much not really going to do much when it gets over toward the islands here. So the NHC has lowered the chances for development on that system. So all eyes will be on what will be Gordon out here, and let's hope it just gets on out, because that'll be the first one of the season to not impact land. Let's go back to Mike and see what he's saying.
We're smack dab in the middle right there. Morgan City. Very well structured. I tell you one thing all the big dogs on the X are talking about is how well this thing has come together in the last couple hours. Might not look like it, but the structure of it definitely has. Definitely heading more east.
All right, so looking at his observations there in Morgan City, we got winds 30 knots. We have pressure 989. That's just to the southern portions of Morgan City, southwest of the city. And I'm not sure where Mike is located. He might be a little bit further east. But if you look at the radar here, you can definitely see that Morgan City. Why isn't that working? There we go. There. Nice close-up view. Look at the eye presentation is beginning to crumble a little bit, and we're starting to get the bat look. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Guess we'll use the yellow ink. See, it's starting to do the bat look thing. See, look at this. It's got this bat shape and dry air intrusion coming in from the south. Again, the dry air working its way into that circulation. And notice the thunderstorms up here starting to weaken, but that's a product of it beginning to move on shore, of course. But the question is he going to get in the eye of this thing? And it looks like I don't think he's going to get. It's going to be close. Homa's definitely going to get the eye. Based on this satellite presentation, this radar presentation I'm looking at, I'm assuming that these winds are probably in the 70 to 80 mile per hour range in that orange blob of rain. There might be some in the dark red blobs. You might get some gusts, 90, 100, where the darker reds are, and they pretty much avoided Morgan City. I mean, they've split apart and went on either side of Morgan City. So let's take another look at the satellite presentation here. All right. There's our satellite presentation of Hurricane Francine, 100 mile per hour winds. And again, notice the deepest, darkest convection is onshore now, and that's the orange blob that you're seeing on the radar. Right there, the oranges and the yellows, and the reds that pop up occasionally. The reds that pop up occasionally, those are the winds that are gusting up to 90, 100 miles per hour. Otherwise, that orange blob there you see is probably 70 to 80 mile per hour gust, mainly probably 60 to 70 range in those orange areas. Let's see if we got anything on the radio here. Nope, still got commercials going there. And I did try to pop there just just temporarily, and I did pop on this real quick. it was brief there for just 1 second, and then as it moved on shore, it collapsed. I think when they say 100 miles an hour, they're being generous. And again, what they measure out on the hurricane hunters out over the open water is different than what you're going to get on land. I've seen it, been in dozens of hurricanes, and it's just not the same as what they measure out over the water. So you can take basically a category off of that. So most of the people in Morgan City, Homa, unless you're right on the immediate coast, when it first came in, you could have got gusts to 100 miles per hour. But in Morgan City, they're probably getting an 80, 90 range. And same as in Homa. And again, while I have this satellite up, just take a look at our newly formed tropical depression number 7 in the East Atlantic. You know, it's just west of the Cape Verde Islands over there. I like to call them the Cape Verde Islands. They like the proper pronunciation is the Cabo Verde Islands, but whatever. You can see it's got the good rotation going there. Plenty warm sea surface temperatures out there. So, and by the way, let's take a look at the sea surface temperatures. Whoops. Okay, let's take a look at these, see if they're active. My maps are kind of acting up here. All right, let's Port Fourchon observations. We have 2.1 feet. Not bad. Gotta make sure this is current though. 910. No. That's not current. 997. Definitely not current. Yeah. No, that's from yesterday. That's not current. Let's see. Minor flooding in Morgan City area. I'm really not seeing anything that intense as far as winds in these areas of Morgan City, Homa. Um, I'm just trying to pull up data from the National Data Buoy Center right now to see if there's anything interesting going on. By the way, New Orleans, 22, 25 mile per hour winds. All right, let's give Mike a listen here, see what he's got going on.
Oh yeah, man, we get some wind now. Look at that tree up there, man. See it? Crap. My
St. Helena is under curfew 6 p.m. until further notice.
yeah, a little video here. Probably gonna get those power lines. Probably gonna go down. I would have a feeling.
As well, of course, with all of those, if you're traveling to and from work for an essential reason, obviously, if you're pulled over,
stretch it down to 997.
And the other thing,
I don't know what's going on, but I got to get my job.
So in New York, getting little random things that that can fly away that you take for granted. Actually, there was one of those Jody mentioned this morning. Don't forget to take out the wind chimes. Those are things that make the most noise until they.
Fantastic, really big wind chimes for Christmas years ago. They're beautiful. You get used to the sound of them when you have them, but you don't want this kind of wind knocking those.
And you already put up Halloween stuff too, didn't you?
I had put up a couple little witches outside this past weekend, and of course they came in. Save your comments.
Okay.
I will say this: if we can be of any help to you, 499-WJBO 499-9526. If you'd like to join us, have anything to report or share with us, I do believe we are going to be speaking with Jason R., the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office. About that.
Wow, look at that wind racing across the water there. It's a Lumpkin Research Facility on the south coast of southeast of Morgan City, Louisiana. And notice the vehicle is buried in the water there. Why would they leave? I don't really understand why people leave vehicles in low-lying areas when a hurricane is coming. I'll never be able to figure that one out. But notice the wind just racing across. You can see the white puffs of water just. Whew. That's amazing.
Oh, man. Oh, wait, no, it's back there. It says online. Device. Not reading it.
Listen to Mike having his technical problems. It's never easy being a storm chaser, folks. Let me tell you. Everybody thinks it's just get in your car and go. Put a camera on the dashboard. It's complicated. You got data issues. You got equipment, different camera angles you got to keep track of. You got to make sure everything's streaming live.
There's no internet here, maybe.
He's live. He just doesn't know he's live. But this camera shot's amazing, though. Watch that. It's just the wind gust.
All right, so hey, we're just this thing is slowly making its way to the coast here of Louisiana. Some of the bigger bands are slowly catching up to me here.
I'm going to see if Mike can get out and show us the eye. It's close. I mean, it looks like it's going to be so close. He might have to drive a little bit. He might have to move to get the eye of this.
Oh, no, I got to get up.
Again, you're watching a live shot of the Lumpkin Research Facility, southeast of Morgan City, Louisiana, right on the Gulf of Mexico. You can see the water coming in. Look at those gusts of wind. Wow. And you look at the radar, and that's where you see that over here on the right-hand side. Let me highlight this. There's the black. It's right in here is where that research facility camera is.
Man, that's a big wind.
So And again, there's where the camera is located, under those deep reds, and this is what you're getting. Watch the gust across the water. Wow. And that's thunder here in Delray. I'm live in Delray Beach, Florida. I'm not there where the hurricane is, but just doing the hurricane warning show for archive purposes. This is a live camera shot from Lumpkin Research Facility, right in that black circle that I have on the radar, and that red band is right over it, so they're getting nailed right now. Notice all the houses, and it's almost white out. Like before, when I showed this camera shot, you could zoom in on those homes and see the water underneath them. Now it's kind of so clouded, the visibility is deteriorated significantly. But notice the building here, the water is definitely getting higher. Now it's about halfway up that garage door. Amazing cam footage here from these people at the university. Great job. Again, that vehicle underwater. Let's take a look at a different angle. Is it a frozen cam? Water is definitely high. I mean, that is... But again, this is far away from Morgan City, Louisiana. This is probably a good... let me see if we have a measuring thing here on this. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. All right, so between Morgan City and where that research facility, you're talking almost, I think it's like 35, 40 miles to the southeast. Oh, I have the wrong image up. About 35, from where Mike is sitting to where these cameras are, you're talking about 35 miles to the southeast. So he's not getting those kinds of conditions. And again, you notice the reds and the dark reds are down in that area, or were anyways. Now they're up towards Morgan City, but the deep red convection has, and by the way, there's a flash flood warning. Let's take a look. National Weather Service in Lake Charles issued a flash flood warning for St. Mary Parish in south central Louisiana. Doppler radar indicated thunderstorms producing 2 to 4 inches of rain. Rate is 1 to 3 inches an hour. Flash flooding of small creeks, streams, and urban highways, as well as underpasses, will be flooded. Locations that should experience flooding: Morgan City, Franklin, Patterson, Jeanerette, Berwick, Bayou Vista, Baldwin, Patterson Memorial Airport, Sherrington, Sorrel, Glencoe, Amelia, and Centerville. All potential for flooding. And notice the eye is beginning to move on shore now, but it's still south of Mike, and it's kind of elongated. Again, it's the bat look. So there he is. Let's see what he's talking about. And again, this, what I appreciate about Mike is he's not all into this protecting his video nonsense with the watermarks and all this stuff. He just does, you want to use it, use it. He's just happy for people to see what he's doing out there. And that's kind of the way we operate as well. Bill and I, we go out in these storms. We're not going to put watermarks all over. If you want to share it, share it. Share it to your heart. Restream it. Whatever you want to do, use it. I like for people to see what's going on. That's what you're out there for. Not to sell a video a month or two down the road. That's not the way I operate. And I'm glad Mike doesn't operate that way. And he just lets it go, and whatever happens, happens. So he's not saying anything. He's probably working on equipment right now. Let's get back to that camera. Let's switch cams. Let's go to the north one. This is obviously facing south towards the Gulf of Mexico. So, wow, look at that. The water's just beating up against the wall. You can see white caps out beyond the building. Camera is facing south, so it's north of the building, and it's facing the Gulf of Mexico. So you can see the water has all come in. It's completely underwater. But the building is elevated. Notice if I zoom in on it here, notice this. It's got stilts, concrete stilts under it. So the buildings are not, they're designed to take this kind of thing. I mean, look at the inside walkways. I mean, they're elevated. Look at the pole bouncing around. I mean, that pole is taking a beating. Unless that's a boat or something. That could be a boat behind there. Not sure what that is. Wow. Wind is really kicking now. Gulf of Mexico. Amazing footage. View from the west side. Yeah, I don't think their sound is working on these cameras. But as far as live camera shots, you're not going to get any better than this in a hurricane. I mean, this is outstanding that they've been able to maintain these camera shots from this research facility. Louisiana University, this LSU Marine Consortium Lumpkin facility. Amazing. Incredible. Let's go to the east view. This is probably the best shot, is the east view, because you can see the wind just racing across the water. That's incredible. So that's got to be facing south as well, because that wind is still coming out of the south. Wow. And again, that vehicle is just about buried completely. The water is halfway up the building now. Now, when the eye comes ashore, this will clear out. We'll be able to see the extent of the flooding very clearly. I'll be able to zoom this camera in and show you a lot of the houses and how much water is filled in on those houses. How much the elevation of those houses, the stilts are above the water line. It'll be interesting to see that.
To stay off the streets unless you really have to be there. Congratulations, because you are listening. I had to drive out to Livingston to bring my dog out to my son and come back. And I-12 all the way out there and back, it's pretty dead. So everybody is heeding the warning to stay in place.
Good. I want to talk to our colleague, Jeremy. Jeremy, are you there?
I better be.
Hi.
If not, where else?
Jeremy Francine. I always say, I love Murphy and Sam. Like family. But Jeremy is my calm in the storm, literally. So you've been watching Francine all day, and you kind of like to dig in and get in. What are you seeing right now, and what do you think that we are bracing for the next couple of hours?
Well, I was surprised a little bit to see the jump to Category 2. At the 4 o'clock advisory. And speaking of, I need to refresh my screen here. We could have 5 o'clock position here and see if it's it's forward speed, because it's been moving. It's picked up a lot of forward speed as the days has gone on. So let's see what we got here. It is now moving still northeast at 17 miles per hour. And max sustained winds at 100 miles per hour. Anyway, right before that 4 p.m. advisory on the radar, there was... Through most of the day, the presentation of the storm didn't change much. It has a very I was watching one meteorologist talk about, we can call it an eye, but the center of the storm was very huge compared to like a nice compact eye, which is one of the reasons why, it was a sign that it was fighting the shear that was forecast, and there might be some dry air trying to get in. Some of that center was exposed. But like right before the 4 o'clock, you saw a big burst of, cloud tops. And that in that area was where they measured and found, if I'm reading it correctly, it's where they measured and found those winds.
Okay.
So that's why it's a Cat 2. It might stay at that. It's one of the things where I wonder if they'll just keep it there until they officially say it's made landfall.
Right.
Some of it has moved onshore based on the radar. I don't know the exact. This is when we say it's officially made landfall, when this amount of has come in, or maybe they still have the quote-unquote center of the storm offshore where it's the lowest pressure.
Yeah, the rotation of it still looks like really part of the eye's offshore still.
Yes. So, and as for what we're going to see, if you look at the radar now, there's just a bunch of rain in the southeast Louisiana. We're going to have that start to come up. The question is going to be, from now until this stuff makes it up to our area, how much is the storm weaken? It's going to go from that Cat 2, as Sam said earlier. It's going to be a tropical storm by, 2 a.m. this morning or tomorrow morning, I think. I have to go back and look at this.
Middle of the night.
Yes, but by that point, too, it's also past.
All right, you guys, what I'm going to do is stop the broadcast right now so this can be archived, and then I'm going to restart another live stream here. I'll be live again in about 5 minutes, but this will be archived, so I don't have to do a million hours of editing. So I'm going to stop it right now.